Ooh, can't give you guys a clap today, man. Bad news. You know, Last of Us, factions. For the longest time, this has been a title that has been teased to us and, primarily the PlayStation, fan base that this game's going to come out. It's going to be a fantastic games as a service and you guys are going to really enjoy it. Well, if you do have a PlayStation, I got some bad news for you. Last of Us Factions has officially been just shut down. No longer are they working on it. Now, obviously, we've heard in the past that, they've ramped down on it. It was put on ice. And I even said I said when it was put on ice, most likely this game's going to get canceled. If you're pulling back on development to that degree, I find it hard to believe that the game's going to be fully made in general. That's just my personal opinion on it. I know that a lot of people had different opinions. And when it comes to, particular developers on the team, there were some people still posting on Twitter that they were working on Last of Us Factions. I would say you should probably stay away from that. Don't let people and developers come out openly and state that you're still working on a game that most likely is going to get canceled. I think this shows a worse issue in the industry. I think so many companies are chasing that games as a service. So many companies want that Fortnite money, but very, very few companies have that Fortnite product. For example, EA has made a lot of games as a service, but to me, they just don't have the product that requires to run a games as a service. You look at companies like Bungie. PlayStation spent like 2.5, 2.9, something in the billions. Yes, billion with a B. Put in the comment section below if you know how many billions. Guys, go look at that number. It's crazy. The amount of money that PlayStation spent on Bungie is ridiculous. And I even think there was some internal documents or something like that going on that's saying they actually regret spending that much money. They spent a lot of money on the company itself, and they spent a lot of money on maintaining the talent that's within the company. Because at the end of the day, if you buy a company and they decide the next day that everyone that works there don't want to work there no longer, then obviously, what did you really buy at that point? You buy it on IP in a building. So Sony and PlayStation was very adamant on making sure that they keep this talent at Bungie. And then Bungie went through there and they went through the veins of PlayStation and they looked from the ends of the earth to the ends of the earth trying to find the best PlayStation games as a service that they possibly could have. And internal documents showed that Bungie went to Naughty Dog and they said, this ain't it. PlayStation has a huge issue in general with games as a service right now. I personally believe that we don't even know how much damage has been done to the PlayStation brand this generation on spending so many years trying to make these games as a service. So many of these companies, they want this reoccurring month-to-month money from these games, but they have the slightest idea of how long and how many people it takes to maintain these games. I'll put in the comment section below the Twitter post that went into why they left it. They pretty much essentially, in my own words, now obviously in the description below will be a link to the Twitter of the actual announcement. They pretty much said, look, we love the single player focused narrative experiences, third person action adventure, and we want to continue making those. But we realize making games as a service ain't easy. It's kind of hard. And we don't really have the bandwidth to make two games simultaneously. We don't have it to, we don't have enough developers on hand to focus on making content for the Last of Us Factions as well as pursuing the games that we actually are known for making, like Last of Us, Uncharted. These games are not easy to be made on its own, not to mention focusing on something like a Last of Us Factions where we have to constantly feed it games and feed it content. Because that's what games as a service is. the consistency of giving you more and more information, more and more content to where you want to give them money in forms of battle passes, in forms of, microtransactions in general. Everyone wants GTA 5 money. Everyone wants Destiny 2 money. But none of these companies have the talent, the bandwidth, and the product to generate that money. And I think the industry as a whole is having countless issues. PlayStation has done a crazy alley-oop trying to do a Hail Mary to make sure that they have these games as a service constantly generating money. And I feel like they might have severely crippled their own company doing it. If you want to do something like this, focus more on studios that specialize on that, like Bungie. I know they have a couple studios that they bought that are internally developing these games as a service games. Focus on them. Give them the funding they need, or you could just go out and buy something like a Ubisoft. We could say what we want about Ubisoft, and I know people watching this, we all know that Ubisoft has this stigma. They all make the same games. No one likes Ubisoft games. But we can't argue that Ubisoft has made probably some of the most self-funding bank thing that that anyone in the industry has made. Now, obviously, there's games that's made more money, like Minecraft, Fortnite, GTA 5. I think we can all safe to say that those games have made more money than Ubisoft has made ever doing games as a service. But I think we can make a good argument that Ubisoft really defined on what it's like to make a games as a service. I feel like they probably had the best talent to do it. Microsoft is another company that's done a fantastic job nurturing and creating games as a service. For instance, Sea of Thieves. They bought Minecraft and they've really expanded on it. Fallout 76, they got that from Bethesda. Elder Scrolls Online, they got that from Bethesda. These games, Sony would literally kill for. Obviously, that's a joke, but they want these type of games so bad, they essentially just tank their whole company. Now, obviously, they're going to be fine. I do think that there's going to be some dry spells that the PlayStation audience are not prepared for. What I've noticed from PlayStation fanboys, and maybe you guys can be in the comment section and tell me if I'm wrong, the biggest word I could give you for a PlayStation fanboy is entitlement. They are so used to getting all the JRPGs in the industry, all the third parties in the industry, all the third party, exclusive content that they usually get from PlayStation, locking this content behind their console, that when it doesn't happen, they lose their mind. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who sees this and I'm delusional. And that's fine. I don't get everything right, but I think I'm getting that right. I think you guys can agree on that. Look, Factions is canceled. Just going to have to get over it. Now, I do think they're going to repackage. They're going to repackage Factions and probably dumb it down to its core state without the microtransactions and maybe bundle it with Last of Us Part 2 Remake. I think that would make the most sense. Now, obviously, it's not going to be games as a service, but I'm sure at the core there was some fun gameplay because they had something like the old Factions to go off of. And if they're able to do that, I think that could save a lot of the headache that a lot of the hardcore audience that has Factions are, upset with. I don't know how I feel about a multiplayer where you can go prone and shoot people in a couple. I don't know, but I think they can find that out. I think they should. You promoted this IP to your fans for years, PlayStation. Make it right. Send some teams in there. Let Naughty Dog, cut this, carve Factions out or some remnants of Factions and put that in and bundle it with The Last of Us Part 2 Remake. I think that would be the best case scenario. But anyway, tell me what you guys think. Put in the comment section below. Do you think they should do that? Or do you think they should just let this sucker die? I'm very curious, and I think both answers are acceptable. Maybe PlayStation doesn't want to dedicate another dollar into producing this online infrastructure because I feel like it has cost them a lot of money as it is. There's been countless millions of dollars that has went into factions online that they potentially can never see a penny back. That's why I feel like repackaging a form of factions and bundling it with The Last of Us Part 2 would make the most sense financially, because I'm sure they got some form of a game, just not enough to play as a games as a service, and I think that's their best bet. But when you put in the comment section below what you guys feel. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button. It's always appreciated. You could sub to the channel for weekly content. Pretty much make videos every day. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace. This week's been crazy, man. This is a lot of stuff been going on in December. Someone explain that to me.